Hey guys, today we're going to take a look at the budget TPU line of paddles from Gherkin. These are all priced at $99.99 before a discount code, and to my knowledge, I don't think there is a single company out there that offers thermoform paddles at the $100 price point in all three popular shapes, as most only do one or two, so it's definitely a smart decision for them to come into the budget Gen 2 market hitting all the big shapes. They have the Aspire, which is their elongated option that has a swing weight of 118 and a twist weight of 6.5. The Solace, which is their hybrid, which has a swing weight of 115 and a twist weight of 6.7. And finally, the Aegis, which is their flat top standard, which has a swing weight of 112 and a twist weight of 7.1. All of these measurements I would say are average amongst Gen 2 thermoform paddles, so there's nothing to call out about their maneuverability or stability for their respective shapes. They're all 16mm paddles with 5.3-inch handles, though they do say the usable handle length is 5.5 inches because of the way the throat tapers. Like I mentioned earlier, these are all thermoform paddles, so they are unibody and created in a hot mold with edge foam around the perimeter to enhance the sweet spot. What Gherkin does to separate itself a bit from the rest of the competition is using 12K carbon fiber instead of the typical T700, and it claims to use anti-vibration tech in the edge guard. Now, going into my play sessions with this, I actually didn't know it wasn't using a T700 carbon fiber surface that almost all other Gen 2 paddles use. I didn't notice any difference really in the spin, but I will say that the paddles do have a very solid feel to them. In fact, the feel of the paddles was very similar to another brand that also uses 12K carbon fiber, and that's the Selkirk Vanguard Pro Series. I found both paddle series to pocket the ball very well and offer great control, but they did offer below average firepower compared to the average Gen 2 carbon fiber paddle, where I would categorize them as control leaning all court. Gherkin's standard shape Aegis plays very similar to the Epic shape of the Vanguard Pro, as they have nearly identical dimensions, while the elongated Aspire was very similar to the Invicta shape. However, both the Gherkin paddles I tested had much higher twist weight numbers in comparison, and I did find all of them to be more stable and not need as much perimeter weighting from tape. The Aspire had the balance and stability similar to a Vatic Pro V7, while the Aegis had one that was similar to the Sword & Shield J3. Meanwhile, the hybrid Solace paddle is a nice addition, as it's a shape that Selkirk currently doesn't have. I would compare the Solace a bit to the older Bread and Butter Loco. It's noticeably less powerful and poppy compared to an average Gen 2 like a 6.0 Double Black Diamond, and like the other Gherkin shapes, these sit in that control-leaning all-court category. There are actually several thermoform paddles that have this similar $100 price point, and honestly, many of the reviews I've done in the past have given them a bit of grace, because I've factored in their lower price point into my assessment of them. But these Gherkin paddles really are indeed some high-quality paddles at lower price points that have a better feel and production quality than several of these cheaper Amazon brands I've reviewed, and I honestly do think they rival the thermoform paddles of pricier brands. I do think they feel like quality paddles, and all three have a solid feel to them, though they are also a bit softer feeling than the average thermoform paddle with less firepower. I personally think this lineup is a great first serious paddle purchase to consider, and the paddles themselves play beyond their price point. If you do want to pick one up, I've added a discount code here and a link to buy them in the video description below.